the alleged breach of biosecurity protocols. It's becoming complicated day by day, year by year, month by month. Now, a few players are caught in this alleged bio bubble protocol. And how? What was the source of this information? Believe it or not, it was pseudo media or known as social media. Well, it does make me a little angry if I look at this because the source was an ordinary individual. The Big Bang crash that is happening just a week from now. In fact, the third one hasn't begun, and they're already creating so much ripples around the fourth one. Welcome to episode 308 on the 4th of January 2021. Tonight's episode, this morning's episode, in fact, is a live commentary of the match between Melbourne Stars and Hobart Hurricanes. That is the Australian 20 over domestic World Cup, or known as the BBL. We shall be doing the live commentary as well as discussing this whole fanatism that we have for players. If this particular breach was done by any other sports person, any other, if it was a hockey team, the football team, or the singles competition like PV Sindhu, Saina Nehwal, or any of the wrestlers, it would have gone unnoticed or they would have been punished. But we have an obsession around cricket. That's number one. There is this obsession around cricket. Then these are superstars. We put them on such a pedestal that if they make a mistake, it's as if they're putting the entire country to shame, which does put me to shame because why are we giving them so much importance? The match is going to begin in just a couple of minutes. So let's discuss this alleged breach of protocol further. As I said, it was from an individual's social media. First, he said the players hugged him, went near him, weren't wearing masks, and then he recanted his entire whatever he said, whether it's confession or thing. He said in a moment of excitement, he decided to say this. So, who should be actually punished, or at least this individual should be asked that why did you do this? But on the other hand, the the fanaticism, and we put these players on such a high pedestal that it's difficult to come to a decision that should it happen or should it not happen. But let's not complicate it. This will be discussed as we go on with this match. Now let's discuss this match. As we all think that the Indian 20 over domestic World Cup or the IPL is the best 20 over domestic competition in the world. Domestic World Cup competition in the world. Okay, it is. But where the IPL has the glamour, the BBL or its Australian counterpart has the professionalism. Let's start the match. All right, so match is between Melbourne Stars and Hobart Hurricanes. And to let individuals know, there are a few individuals from this team who played in that Indian competition. There are a few players who will not be known. I have been following this competition for the past 10 years because this is its 10th year. Yes, Indian players are not a part of this competition, though I have been saying that Indian players should be allowed to play. But why does the Indian Cricket Board not do that? Simply because they think that this is a competition. Well, it's literally a competition to them. If Indian players start playing this, or if they are allowed to breach that NOC, then maybe people won't watch the Indian version. Well, that's double standards because the Indian Cricket Board literally forces other players to come and play for them. They pay in huge numbers, means the price, they almost treat players like objects as far as the definition of auction is concerned, because I don't like the concept of auction as far as buying or selling players is concerned. This was obviously taken from the NBA or NFL, which the tournaments which happen in USA. Now let's start as Riley Meredith bowls to Andre Fletcher, and the first ball has been edged past a vacant slip for four. So Melbourne Stars begin on a high note, and remember, who are the common players a few people will connect with? Andre Fletcher, yes, he's played for West Indies and maybe a few matches for the Indian domestic World Cup. There is Marcus Stoinis, who played for Delhi, and then Marcus Stoinis, after nearly 14 matches, was promoted to open for the Delhi team because he was opening for the Melbourne team. Then a few known players are Glenn Maxwell, who was criticized because he was paid in huge numbers, and yet he didn't perform as far as the performance at that tournament goes. Another brilliant delivery as this one is yorked out. And when it comes to, yeah, now it's a quite a humorous situation that someone like Glenn Maxwell plays well in this tournament, but when it comes to the Indian tournament, he's averaging 15. As if numbers ever make a difference. But he's playing with, he is the captain of this team. He's in control. It's his home team. He's in home country. He's comfortable in that. The bio bubble is a part of this, but it's still better. There are a lot of, I think a few Indian players could have played. Raina retired, yes. Dhoni retired, yes. Yuvraj Singh, this one inside edge beats the stumps, and the luck continues for Andre Fletcher as he moves on to 10 of 3 balls, and the score is none for 10. So, as I was saying, should Indian players be allowed to play in this? Well, first, the ego of the Indian Cricket Board has to be diminished. They should be allowed. I would have allowed them. And this was a very close call. It would have gone either way. Goes past the keeper. Dhoni has been kind of semi retired ever since 2016-17. Yes, he has a contract with the Chennai team that he's going to play with them, but then he is now a freelancer. He can play with any team. So why not allow, if Afghanistan allows Rashid Khan to play, because Afghanistan literally doesn't even play any match. If you look at this, Afghanistan doesn't even play, as this ball is a high bouncer but called a wide. So Afghanistan doesn't play too many international matches, 20 overs, 50 overs, or any of them. And Rashid Khan plays for Adelaide in Australia and Hyderabad in India. And if you ask these players which team would they choose, well, you could put a gun on their head literally and say play for Hyderabad, not for Adelaide. But will we ever we see two top teams, let's say Perth Scorchers versus Mumbai Indians, if we're going by those names? Yes, Mumbai has won 5 times, but teams like Sydney, and this time, is that an edge? Yes. Fletcher's luck runs out as he edges this one. And interestingly, there is no DRS in this competition because of the cost factors associated with DRS. But we'll come to that later on as the wicket falls. All right. Okay. So edged and a good catch taken. So the luck runs out, couple of inside edges, past the wicket slip, and well, the question will be: was there bump ball. No, it went straight to the keeper. There was an appeal. The umpire said you're gone. So Andre Fletcher goes for 10. It's 1 for 11. All right. Let's continue with this very interesting story. So let's continue with, should Indian players be allowed to play in this tournament? Well, this tournament is already a few years old. That is well known. But if you ask me, yes, Indian players should be allowed to play in this particular tournament. But that's a debate which has been going on for years, and not everybody will agree to this because there is a presumption that the Indian version is more professional and so much is happening. But we can, discuss that for years to come. That is the Indian version more professional or not? That let that be late to rest. I think I've seen both tournaments. That is glamour here. The time is spent on the sport, not on external things like strategic timeout and a 20-minute break between two innings. That's too long a break. And teams taking nearly 2 hours to complete a 20 overs. Well, that's something that is indiscipline, and I've seen that throughout the tournament. We praise the Indian Cricket Board for organizing that. Well, I will praise the Australian Cricket Board to organize that in their own country. That is a bigger deal, but it's a controversial thing. But we all love that. So let's continue talking controversies because that's how the cookie crumbles. So let's continue this semi controversial match. All right. Now let's get back to the match. We all ready. The first over is done, and Johan Botha is into the attack. Those who don't know who is Johan Botha, he was a former South African player, now an Australian citizen, playing for the Australian team. He came out of retirement to specially play for this tournament, but we can get into that later on. All right, let's see. As we get ready, we'll just take a couple of minutes before I start the second over. So the Australian, this is match number 23, and they have this very unique system of power surge and substitutes, X factor. Power surge means that we all know in 20 overs, in sports, there is this concept of power plays where 6 overs the fielders are restricted inside the circle, not too many outside the 30-yard or the 25-yard circle, depending on the nature of the match. It's 50 overs, 20 overs, women's match, men's tournament.
It's 10:45.
Depending on those minor things, right? Okay. Let's continue with the match. As Botha gets ready. So 1.2 overs, 1 for 18. And Stoinis had probably hit a 6, so going at 13 and a half runs per over. Well, I do like this. I mean, I have enjoyed this tournament. It happens quickly. No time is wasted. A 20 over match is supposed to be completed in 3 hours or maximum 3 hours, 20 minutes, and they don't breach that. Talking about breach, Indian players breaching protocols. Now, from nowhere, a photo of Kohli and Hardik Pandya turns up who went shopping for whatever person reasons. It wasn't reported. It's a month old incident or breach of protocol. Kohli is back home. He is self isolating at home. Pandya is back home. So there's no point sanctioning them now. But should the Indian players be sanctioned, suspended, five players? I think they should not be. First of all, the source of the information of this alleged protocol breach is itself dubious. So, first, the alleged dubious situation. This time it's cut away and it's gone for four as Nick Larkin gets on the back foot and Johan Bota's first over hasn't gone according to plan. It was short off the back foot and that's sped away to the boundary for a four. And the best part about this is there are crowds. And of course, as far as the Brisbane test and quarantine is concerned, well, should we feel for the players or should we not feel for the players for quarantining themselves? Well, one school of thought says yes, there's a two says that if they weren't interested, they shouldn't have come for the tour, as a lot of players have opted out of tournaments. But now the fact that they have come, then it means only one thing, that they're here to stay. They will have to live by the rules, whatever be the situation. They will have to go by the rules set by the respective governing bodies and the state governments and all that is happening. So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing. Should one feel for the players or should one not feel for the players? I think maybe we should. I if I was the governing body, I'm not, but if I was the governing body, well, I am still the governing body. As far as this is concerned, I would say it's fine. The source is dubious. I wouldn't take the source seriously at all. I would say it's fine. No need to get too carried away by all this sort, by all this situation. No need to be influenced. I would say it's fine. They didn't break any protocol because the individual who said those things itself had lied. So I would let it go. I would say fine. Doesn't It's fine. It's not a very big deal. But then one doesn't know what people have in mind. So let's just wait. There's nothing you can do about it. It's all a waiting game now. It's all about a waiting game. What are the two governing bodies thinking? They should take a decision by now. They can't wait because there's only a couple of days left before the match starts. So I would just say let it go. I would say just let it go. So as we get ready, 2.1 overs, 1 for 22. Stoinis on strike, Larkin. Stoinis, who impressed in the domestic tournaments, surprised, and there are a few surprises. Do you all remember this player called Matt Renshaw? Australia right now, as far as the test match is concerned, have opening problem. They don't have settled openers. They have literally burned Joe Burns, and he's back to playing for Brisbane Heat. He plays for them. So there are a few good openers who could have been drafted into the team. There's Matt Renshaw, the guy is 23. He can bowl. So I don't even know what is the trouble. But that's something which we will never know what is in the mind of the selectors. We think they're flexible by having a few individuals, or we think they are rigid by not selecting others' form and this player hasn't played these many matches. We are so reliant upon their domestic numbers. Natarajan, for example, hasn't played domestic matches. On the other hand, Shalur Thakur may play and he may provide that batting all-rounder thing. Of course, the whole thing around Rohit Sharma is now becoming a joke, right? But that's something we can keep debating about, and there is no answer to it. As we get ready, 2.5 overs, 1 for 22. And after this, we'll be taking a short break. So it's almost a maiden over West Scott Boland, a former Australian player, I would say, still an active player, but discarded by the Australian team as doesn't have a maiden. Three gone, 1 for 23. It's time to take a short break. We are back live as we get ready. Three overs, 1 for 23. Let's get into that mode of discussion. It's such a brilliant debate, right? About who should play, who should not play. As we get ready for the third over, this man started around 10:30, and in around 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes, they have completed three overs. Yes, even in the Indian version, they do. But as soon as a strategic timeout and whatnot comes, which the Lanka domestic World Cup tried to copy, the match becomes 2 hours. As Nathan Ellis, another fast bowler, comes, we get excited by these fast bowlers every time they come. They bowl at 150, and okay, yeah. But then the question comes, can they do this bowling for 15 overs in a day, 20 overs in a day, and all that test versus ODI versus 20 over debate, which is, I find it very immature, but that's the way it is. And then we give so much importance to Brett Lees and McGrath. They are good players, but from me, they were always fringe. As we get ready for the second ball of the fourth over, Nathan Ellis running in, bowling over 150 to Stoinis, who once again tries to cut, but straight to the keeper. There are a few individuals, apart from Stoinis, Maxwell, there Nicholas Puran also, who was known for taking that good catch in that tournament. Now, Australia has 120 over domestic tournament, they have a 50 over, and they have their 5 day matches. What puzzles me is why does India have two 20 over domestic tournaments, because I don't see the point of having that Syed Mustaq Ali trophy. It's a waste of time. Nobody gives importance to it. This time he's cut away, and that's cut away past point. No one moved an inch, and it's gone to the boundary for four. Astronis just leaps on the front foot and has smacked it away. A good shot, a very good shot by Marcus Stoinis. A good player. 1 for 27 in 3.3 overs. This time, that's cut away, short, wide, and it's a six. He went back and across that Marcus Stoinis, and this one reached into the boundary for a beautiful six. What a shot! The first ball was not too short. This time it was short wide of the back foot, the shorter boundaries into the ground. And this match is happening, I suppose, at Hobart, Bluntstone Arena. This is happening in Tasmania, in fact. Sorry, my bad. So how many runs can the Melbourne Stars get? They're not the former champions. Melbourne Renegades are former champions. As we get ready, this time he defends a solid defensive shot, 3.5 overs, 1 for 33. So 10 runs from this over so far. As we get ready for the final ball of the fourth over, this time he flicks it away, and this will be cut off for 2 runs, ends the over, 4 gone, 1 for 35. So let's continue this alleged breach of protocol discussion. Well, it does make me a little annoyed that we have such discussion in the first place. And which is a better tournament is something that we can debate for the rest of our lives. But the best part about this tournament is that it starts on time, it ends on time. There is a lot of discipline as far as the tournament is concerned, and there are no complications. There are nothing like that happens, but that's how it is. As we get ready, Meredith, Riley Meredith appeals, doesn't work. 1 for 36, 4.2 overs, Tornes on 20 of 14 deliveries. And this one, he plays it away over the fielder, and the longer boundaries means that he will have to settle for 2 runs. The ball is fielded by Darcy Short. Who is Darcy Short? This guy played with he played in that tournament. We all know that.
It's 11 hours.
As Meredith bowls to Sones, appeal, but this time it's going down leg. Fast delivery, but missing leg by a long margin. As he's bowling those in swingers into the left pad, and Stoinis is standing outside leg, and this one was sliding. The interesting part is this tournament doesn't have what one calls the DRS because it's a contract between the broadcasters and the governing body, and maybe the broadcasters are not willing to put in money for it, which is why they think the Indian tournament is slightly better. This time he pulls, no fielder over there, but it will be cut off at the mid wicket boundary as they come back for 2 runs. So the ball got big on him and he was only able to sustain 2 runs. And as far as the players playing in those, well, this could have been a great opportunity for someone like MS Dhoni to get a contract. He's anyways nearing 40. He can play for He could have played a few matches. He could have been that marquee player. There could have been Yuvraj Singh, who's also nearing 40. Raina, who is still young compared to what the definition of young is in sports. This time, Larkin pulls, and this will be taken. A good delivery ends the over. Meredith gets a wicket. Stars in bit of trouble, which means Maxwell will join and we'll see some fun happening. It's 2 for 39. 2 for 39. Let me just read out those ironical lines which was said by this individual, and then later on it was revealed that he was kidding. A social media post by a fan sparked concern on Saturday, with the Australian Cricket Board or Cricket Australia hinting at a possible breach of biosecurity protocols by five Indian players. Well, the important words here are a social media post by a fanatic. It's not something that can be seen as gossip. It's not truth. Social media is of the liars, for the liars, by the liars. It's all about that. As the power surge, the power play over ends. As we know, there are 4 overs of power play, right? It, in fact, that was a no ball. No, that's not a no ball. How is that a no ball? That is not a no ball. That's a controversial. If they're calling it a no ball, then how is that a no ball? Okay, in fact, was they were checking the no ball. All right, it was the catch. The previous replay being shown, it bounced on his mouth, which means they will have to change the ball. Taken by Tim David, they may have to change the ball because it hit him on his mouth. Well, the players can't stop balls hitting on their mouth. Should they be allowed not to take catches? Or should they drop the catch because it was on his mouth? Larkin departs, it's 2 for 39. Of course, the Indian players were without masks and they will have to train separately to prevent any interaction with other players. But first, this whoever this individual was who created this controversy said that the players hugged him, or a certain player hugged him and thanked him for footing the bill. Well, I'm sure nobody wants anybody else to foot the bill. That is absolute nonsense. And then he said, I never went near them. So then, why are we in this situation? Let's just forget it because it was, anyways, on social media, which is a gospel of lies. It's of the liars, for the liars, by the liars. As 5.5 overs have been, 5.4 overs have been completed so far, it's 2 for 40. Maxwell comes in, and of course, his comparison with his performance in the Indian domestic competition carries on forever. That doesn't end. But let's see what happens. As Maxwell defends, Sandeep Lameshane, one of the few players to actually play for Nepal. He's around 20 years of age now. He was a former player of Melbourne Stars. He was in quarantine, and I think this term quarantine is now becoming a joke. Why don't you just rename it house? Why don't you just call it detention? Like uh, students are detained for bad behavior. On one hand, there is doping. On other hand, there is this bio bubble protocol. Yes, the cricket boards are working hard to make sure that players don't get infected or fall ill, but after a while, it becomes a joke. As 6 overs completed, 2 for 42. That's the way it is, and there is nothing anyone can do about it, and which really makes me very angry. So this ends. episode number 308 on the 4th of January 2021, a special live commentary episode of the Australian 20 over domestic competition, Melbourne Stars versus Hobart Hurricanes, and all the controversies surrounding the breach of protocols and whether it was supposed to be taken as truth or just ignored. That depends on the two governing bodies. So, thank you for watching this episode. I will be back for the next episode.